amazing viewers. Thank you so much for joining me on my program once again. I appreciate you wherever you are connecting from. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please kindly subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you so much and remain blessed.
Insurgents and their family members, they have surrendered to us. They are here, they are kept well, and the DDR program is being planned, and we're sure it will be successful.
Let me take you up a little bit on the insurgents that have surrendered that you mentioned now. There are those who have asked the question, are these people not posing some kind of security challenge or threat, especially because there are so many of them and you're having to keep them close to you in the theater there, pending when the decisions on the DDR, as you called it, are taken. What is the situation with them there, and how have you found the situation with keeping them with you, even though they are now disarmed?
Yeah, I think normally there will be some concern, and I'm sure I don't blame the public for that. But I just want to assure them that we are professionals, and we have done this before. We're in Sierra Leone, we're in Niger Delta, we're in other countries where we had issues of disarmament. What goes on here now is as soon as any of them is willing to surrender, he reports straight to the closest military location. The commander on ground has his troops ready. We disarm them, take over their arms, we search them, take their names and profile them. The state government have members of NIMC with them that will also take in their data. We'll put them together in the camp, and then the state government will provide transport, buses that will move them into the various camps. There are 3 camps that set up. They bring them to camp, and then we further from the camp, the state government takes care of the management and the administration. What we do is we ensure that the perimeter is secured. Nobody from outside interferes with them in, and nobody from in goes out. So I want to assure members of the community that they are well secured, and they will not pose any security threats to anybody. And then if we have to do that, we have to look at why are they even coming out, because I know probably everybody is asking, why are they surrendering now? Is it for real or not? Well, for us, the surrendering started since July 2021. And for them to have been there till date shows you that some level of commitment. And why are they surrendering? The death of Shekau has opened a lot of opportunities, because Israel, while he was there, he was very brutal, and anybody who attempts to escape will be killed. We knew even then a lot of them were tired and wanting to come out. But because they were scared of him, he was a very violent person. And then the splinter group, when they splintered between ISWAP and Shekau group, that also assisted, and there was a fight between the 2 of them. And then when Shekau was killed, there was infighting between the Bokoharam group too for leadership. That further diminished them. And you know our nature of operations, we conduct both kinetic and the non-kinetic. The kinetic is the one that the military does by use of force, and the non-kinetic is the one that is humanitarian in nature. And that's what those 2 approaches were pushed together, the state government doing the non-kinetic aspect while we continue with the kinetic. And I think to them, they realized that it was foolhardy to continue with the battle, because they know they can never win. And with the situation on ground, we were really itching into their enclaves, and they felt within the 2 evils, it's better they surrender, knowing that the armed forces of Nigeria are the professional army, and we're going to treat them professionally. By the laws of war, once your enemy surrenders, you are duty bound to receive him and treat him humanely, until the process of the legal system takes its course. And that's what exactly we're doing. So I've had reasons, people have complained that we're pampering them. We're not pampering them. We're just being in line with the statutory laws on ground. And that's why we ensure that all those ones that are profiled are brought in and kept and well secured until the DDRR program commences. And for now, that's where we are. And I've said over 51,000. Out of the 51,000, about 11,000 are males. And not all of them are combatants. Within the males, we have some that were enslaved, some that were born in it, and some that were conscripted. So gradually those are going to be sorted out, and then the legal system will take its course.
Now, when you speak about sorting out, there are also another group of people. I mean, all these ones you've talked about are the ones who surrendered to your troops. But there are the other groups of people who were felled in battle. That is, that you captured them after battles. They were the result of frontline wars. Those ones are kept differently. Is that correct?
Yes, those ones are sorted out separately. And the good thing about the battle here in the Northeast is almost everybody knows, they know each other. And so it's easier to identify who are the combatants and who are the non-combatants. And surprisingly, even the combatants are not shying away from telling you what exactly they did. But in line with your question, those ones that were just captured within the battle area were equally, we sieve them out. Those ones that are not part of the combatants are sorted out separately, while the combatants are taken out and are treated separately. Those ones the legal system is taking care of. We equally provide security to ensure they're there. The Attorney General of the Federation and his legal team also are part of what is going on, because they are the ones that actually sort them out. And once they do, those ones that don't have any criminal activities against them, they are sorted out and are taken out. And the state government provides succor for them, training skills, and where they are taken back to the society. While those of them that are going for prosecution are kept, and then the legal system takes its course.
I want to go back to the earlier point you made about intelligence when you were talking about the shift in focus. There had always been the discussion about intelligence gathering, and that some of these host communities where a lot of these atrocities were going on, particularly in the Northeast, were either reluctant or unwilling to give information that would help the military to go after these militants. I know that I've had conversations with people who have asked the question, how is it possible for a group of people to come and take away 400 other people on motorcycles or in a truck across so many kilometers of open land, and nobody will see them, nobody will provide information about them to the authorities. So, I mean, even if you use that as the background, what is it that you have found out that has been the stumbling block, so to speak, to proper, concise, and usable intelligence being passed on to the military for action against these terrorists?
Yeah, from my experience since taking over, I've been in the theater. This is my 4th tour of duty. What I realize is that we have those that are actually tired and want this to end, and then those are the ones that are actually cooperating with the military. We have those that don't want it to end, and they cut across all stratas. Those ones will do everything to ensure that we don't get this information and then we don't act. Then we have those ones that, because they are scared, probably because of the nature of the area, and so it makes it difficult for them to want to divulge any information, because they feel any information that is given, there could be repercussions. And then again, like I said, we have family members that don't view what they are doing as being wrong. A mother has normally, for a mother that her child is one, she doesn't look at him like a terrorist. She looks at him like her own child. And so those are the various challenges we're getting. But again, the issue, like I mentioned earlier, the GSM network is not everywhere. So even if they want to pass any information, it takes time. And I can tell you a lot of people, most people are willing to give us information that will assist. And again, I want to do this clarification, because I know I've had over and over, sometimes people mention that a short kilometer of about 10 kilometers and troops did not respond. I tell them one of the major threats we're having is the use of IEDs, improvised explosives. These are planted on the roads, and then once you enter, it decimates the vehicle completely. And that is our greatest threat. And if you don't tread carefully, once you step on it, you're gone. And that actually delays our movement. Now, I give you an example. For the counter IED equipment that we use, we still use the normal hand products, which means if we are to cover a kilometer, the man on ground will have to go on foot, who will scan the entire 1 kilometer. And I can tell you, to cover a 10 kilometer will take you like 5 hours, 5 to 6 hours, because it is actually slow. If you make mistake and you step on the IEDs, you are gone. So our prayer and our request is, if we can have our roads to be tarred, it will eliminate 60 to 65% of the threat wave, and then the response time will be a lot better. So on the issue of information gathering, now is a lot better. Like I mentioned earlier, formerly when we started, there was no understanding on what the military was doing. And then because you are dealing with non-state actors that are not wearing uniform, it was difficult to identify who is who. And once there's an attack, and then they easily blend into the community. And then when you come in, you can't really tell who is who because they will hide their weapons and then they blend, they're the same. But we are taking care of that, and then people are giving us cooperation all over.
The terrain, I mean, when you reference the issue of GSM, part of what I have learned is responsible for the patchy GSM in some parts of the area are two. The first is that the terrain is not extremely friendly, and the second is that a great deal of vandalization by the insurgents also goes on with some of these facilities. But I want to focus on the issue of terrain. Many of the hardware that the military has, the tanks, the weapons that it uses, there are those who have said to us that they are not particularly suited to the terrain in that operational area, and that it took a while for the military to get and learn to use the ones that could be. Is that true? And if so, what is it? What is the situation like now?
Yeah, you know, the terrain is desert and it's sandy. And you know, when you have a sandy environment, it makes it very difficult moving. Most of our vehicles, like the tanks, you have 30 tons, 35 tons, 40 tons. So you can imagine with them, especially the wheeled ones. The wheeled ones are the ones with tires. But the tracked ones are able to glide through all this terrain quite easily. I'm sure you're aware that quite recently, just late last year, we received a number of fighting vehicles, and that has actually enhanced our capacity. And that's why you see we'll be able to project warfare into the enclaves and camps of the insurgents. Areas where hitherto had been almost impossible to go in, and which they equally have boasted that we will never get them there, we were able to go. Just early February, we were at the Timbuktu Triangles. We went in all the area from Talala, from Afar, Kafa, all. We have gone in, we have pushed them out. We have opened the Maiduguri Dambua Biu Road, and then we have also moved to Sambisa Forest, where they felt was their shrine, so-called shrine, and that it was impossible to penetrate. We have gone there, we are pushed in, we are into Mandra Mountains, we are entering the Tumbus. There is nowhere, there is no hiding place for them. What goes for them is because they move light, and because they are not wearing uniform, and they blend quite easily. So they follow the forests, they follow the Tumbus, and then they hide. When we move here, they try to move this way. But I can tell you, the synergy between the air, the army, and the maritime, including the civilian joint task force, the vigilantes, and the hunters, has been fantastic. And that is why we have made it so impossible for them to continue to move in large numbers. And what they do now is they go on foot, they hide, come here, try and strike. And what they are looking for? Soft targets. You can imagine now that we are taking them out, they are now moving towards the northern Borno, where areas that have been quiet. They go there and look for soft targets, attack markets, attack houses, try to abduct people to make money, and then to make it impossible for us to strike because they use them as human shields. And so those are the nature of their own activities, and those are the tactics they adopt. So asymmetric warfare is a very, very delicate and difficult warfare. Most times people think, why is it taking so long? It takes so long because it's not somewhere you can just go and cap a bomb everybody. Because there are a lot of innocent people, they blend quite easily with them. So you have to be selective, you have to be professional in your approach. And that's why we have to take it quite easily.
Given that scenario, of course, I also want to then talk to you about the other bodies that you've mentioned, that you just signaled. The Multinational Joint Task Force, and then the civilian JTF. In the case of the civilian JTF, because this was an initiative of the state government, but which the military and federal authorities then bought into, sometimes in the past we have heard about the fact that sometimes the synergy between both is not quite the same. The military keep them back and say, look, this is a fight, you know, you are not completely prepared for this, you know, and all that. Now, given the scenario on ground, I'm wondering, I'm not a military man, but I'm wondering if the civilian JTF, if their effect is not better felt in the gathering of intelligence, information for the people who are properly trained in warfare to then use that information to go after these insurgents and to route them in a way that is final and determinative.
I agree with you totally, and that's exactly what we're using them for. And just to curtail any excesses, they are properly profiled by the state government. They are employees of the state government. They are being paid monthly by the state government. All we did was that to give them some level of training to understand what security is, how to pass information, how to do this, and that's what we're using them for. And then they have been put into groups with the various commands at their own level. And we'll make sure that we superintend on what they do. So they are not just left on their own to do as they feel. They are being controlled, highly controlled. And they are the ones that actually give us these informations and be able to take us through, because they are the ones that know the terrain quite very well. Within the area, there are some areas we have the cattle routes, which the insurgents use quite easily. It is the civilian JTF that know these things, so they know these routes, they know how to avoid them. And I can tell you, even from the surroundings, we are getting a lot of assistance because they are tired, and I think they want this to end. So we are all putting hands in deck. Our relationship with the multinational joint task force is fantastic, because the present force commander was the GOC 7th here in Maiduguri. We have been together for a very long time. We work very, very closely. We interchange ideas. I've been to his headquarters. He has been to my headquarters severally. We do our planning together. And what we realize is that before now, Operation Hatinkai will have 3 sectors. Sector 1 here in Maiduguri, Sector 2 at Damatru, and Sector 3 at Mongonu. Normally we do operations, we concentrate on one sector, and then these guys easily fizzle out. But what we did this time around is that we conducted operations simultaneously, all sectors, and then coming in with the multinational joints, because once we do that, they try to thin out through the international boundaries, go to Niger, Chad, or Cameroon, where they relax, and then when we pull out, they now come back. So this time around, they have no hiding place, because once they go there, the multinational joint force will mop them up from that location. So you can see that the synergy is good. Even the air assets, the maritime assets, all for multinational and for the Operation Hatinkai, we worked jointly and combinedly.
Let me ask you about holding of territory, because you referenced it in your answer to the last question, which is that the military goes in with, the air assets, the maritime assets, the civilian JTF, the multinational joint task force, and the insurgents run. They cross international borders, and they go into Niger, they go into Chad and all of that, and then they come back when the military withdraws, which brings up the issue of how we are holding on to the territory. Because a lot of people who have been told that the areas where they were living before the insurgency is now safe, Nigeria's military has recaptured those areas, who have attempted to return home after the military has withdrawn, report back that the places are still not safe once the military is out of there. So that brings up the issue of how does one hold on to territory once it has been recaptured?
Yeah, I think we adopted a different measure this time around. Before we return them to any location, we make sure it is totally free. Free from the IEDs, because these IEDs are implanted all over. So any location, and the good thing is we have a working synergy with the state government. The governor has been remarkable in his approach and his cooperation. Now, for anything to be done, we sit down together. He tells us what are his plans, and then we look at it from the security perspective, and then we advise accordingly. Once it is agreed that they are to return to their locations, we go in there with the EOD team, with the police, and I'm sure you are aware that Operation Hatinkai means the Joint Task Force. We have all components of security forces. We have the DSS, the police, the immigration, custom, prisons, all. And everybody plays his role. So once we do that, we all go back to those communities, clear the environment, ensure it is safe from IEDs, from any attack. And then the state government moves in and provides infrastructure, accommodation, water, healthcare, probably school. And then once that is done and is complete, then we move them in, including, and one of our components too is the MOPOL. We have the mobile police with us. So we deploy them, including the civilian JTF, the hunters, and the vigilantes, together to provide security. And since starting from when the chief of army staff was here as the theater commander, till date, we have not had any of the locations that have been dislodged again. We have moved in. Baga is full. If you go to Baga, it's unbelievable. Goza, Mafa, Bama, all, they are fully in place, and life is going back to normalcy. We have equally opened the roads, and they are moving well. All we try to do is, because of this issue of IEDs, that's why we make sure that every morning before anybody goes on them, we go around, scan it and clear it, so that we don't want civilians to also fall victim into the IEDs. All the locations are on. Malam Fatori, which has been a very long issue on ground, we have civilians back. The place will be fully back, I'm sure, in the shortest possible time. So we want to assure the public that we're doing the best we can, and we're working together, because this operation is for Nigeria. And I would like all Nigerians to partner, to take part in it, to take ownership of this operation. It is not the armed forces of Nigeria's war, it is a Nigerian war. Because within the armed forces, every tribe, religion, village in Nigeria is represented here. And we have had casualties from all aspects, from everywhere. So I think it's important for us to always understand that this is our war.
Another area where many people talk about the fact that they posed security threats were the IDP camps, that's the internally displaced persons camps. And I know that there was some level of controversy when the Borno State government decided to close all such camps and get the people there moved back to their areas. That has gone pari passu with what you've just described, with the military clearing up those areas and ensuring that they are safe. But the IDP camps themselves, how were they being used by the militants, or how did they pose security threats to the operations? Because we knew there were quite a number of them, and I know we have on record Governor Babagana Zulum saying that when nobody's there, the IDP camps are empty, but the minute that there are NGOs coming with humanitarian aid and so on, all those people come back from wherever they went to those camps to come and benefit.
Yeah, we have a peculiarity here in Africa, especially in Nigeria. The IDPs, most times, when we have emergencies as such, unlike other parts of the world, Africans always just subsume into their family, extended family members. And that's what's happening. So the IDP camps now that have been closed down, most of them are still trying to hang around. Probably they are used to the city life, and a lot of them don't want to really go back. And the threats that we get from most of these IDP camps, again, emanates from the fact that family members are part of it. They have uncles, brothers, sons that are part of the insurgents. And then, like I mentioned earlier, the mother looks at it as her son. Her son must stay alive. So if you give her any food, she finds a way of escaping out to go and give him. You give her any medical treatment, she wants to extend that to her child. She is looking at him like her child, not an insurgent. And so those are the challenges we're having. And you still have those that are still trading with those individuals, those ones that benefit. Before the fuel scarcity, a 25 liters of PMS goes for 150,000 across, to get it across to the insurgents. Anything you sell and you can get across to them, they are willing to pay almost 20-25 times the amount. So you can see the attraction. And so a lot of people, even if they know they understand the level of threat, but because of what they will gain from it, they are willing to take that risk to go and sell. And those are the little things that keep them going. And again, some of the issues we have is ability to trail the money.
Thank you so much for your patience to watch from the beginning to the end. I hope you have learned something from the video you have just watched. The video you have just watched is to bring information to your doorstep and for educational purpose. It is not to demonize anybody. Let us watch continuously and see who can be able to make a sense out of every nonsense we are seeing. We must continue. We move. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter what they say. They will kill us. We will kill them. At the end of the day, Biafra is here. Thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please kindly subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell so that you're notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you and remain blessed. Bye-bye. See you again.